So this is a lesson for beginners guitar players, and it's a lesson on chord changes, specifically on how to change chords in time. It's one of those topics where, yes, you do have to put a lot of time in it in order to appreciate your improvement, but at the same time, I feel like having the right guide, the right references might help you to cut the time and see your improvement a little bit earlier. So let's go through a list of 5 tips that might help you improve your chord changes in time. So the first and the most important, I would say this is the real deal, is to keep moving your right hand. I'm assuming you are a right-handed player, so your picking hand while you strum. So more likely you already know the chords that you're going to play. You probably put a little bit of time practicing the chord transitions, the switches in between the chords, but you feel like you can't really do it in time. You can't really do it along with the music that you want to play. So in order to improve that, you need to make sure that the right hand keeps moving without any gaps. The basics of the rhythm, the basics of the strumming technique is that you don't want to stop this hand. So if you are practicing a transition between C and G and you want to play it with a specific rhythm, make sure that you never stop this hand. Whatever tempo, whatever strumming you're playing, I'm constantly playing this rhythm without any interruptions, you know. Always moving my right hand without any gaps, and this allows me to play everything in time. Okay, so this is the really important tip. Never stop your right hand. Force yourself to keep playing with your right hand, even if you feel that the chord change is still not perfect, or maybe you are not done with all of the fingers, not all of the fingers are in place. You need to force yourself and keep playing. Maybe at the beginning it won't sound great on the left hand, on the fretting hand, but make sure that you keep moving the right hand in order to get the right rhythm, and I can guarantee you that in a short amount of time you'll be able to play your chord changes definitely in time. Now the second thing, together with making sure that you have no gaps in between the chords, is knowing the right references. So make sure that when you move from one chord to another, you actually know what's the best combination, the best order of fingers that you're gonna move. So if you're going from C to G, target the fingers 1 and 2 to go up, or if you're playing a bar chord which moves into another bar chord, make sure that you actually slide all of the fingers without lifting them. So in general, you need to do really a few movements on the left hand, trying to keep the fingers as close as you can to the fretboard, as much as you can with a curved shape, so you don't end up with the fingers straight like this, and in general keeping the fingers really close to the fretboard when you slide or when you switch from one chord position to another. And this way you're gonna save a lot of time, which is gonna be really helpful when you try to do your strumming, your rhythm perfectly in time. And again, since we want to keep going with our right hand, we want to generate the habit of left hand following the right hand and not the other way around. So we don't wait for the chord to be perfect before we keep strumming the following bar, but we do strum even though the chord is not perfect, because in this way we force the left hand to follow the right hand and eventually become a little bit quicker, rather than basically waiting for the chord every time before you strum, and in this way always having a gap in between the chords. Now the tip number 3 is don't focus too much on a perfect strumming, a perfect sound on the chord that you are playing at the end of the bar, but focus more on having a good sound and play in time when you play the beginning of the following bar. So if I'm playing a bar chord and I'm strumming this, okay, I don't want to focus too much on the end of the first strumming, having this perfectly sounding, then taking my time to move to the next chord and be late when I play the next chord. I want to play the next chord perfectly in time when I count the 1 of the next chord, rather than having a perfect ending on the previous chord. This allows you to play in time. And now, even if the sound will not be 100% clean, again, it's more important to be in time, because you'll feel like you are playing better, and people listening to you will enjoy that much more, rather than hearing a perfect first chord, but then listening to the second chord slightly out of time. So I don't want to play this, but I want to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So did you see that when I said 1 on the second chord, I was in time and I had to cut the sound of the first chord a little bit earlier? Okay, that's fine. At the end of the day, you'll end up playing an upstroke, okay, which is gonna be probably a ghost note where you don't press with the fingers, you get a percussive sound. That's absolutely fine as long as you are in time with the next chord. And worst case scenario, if you're not able to do that because you are more of a beginner, for example, still, don't worry, the worst thing you can play is an open string strum. Okay, so you're gonna strum all of the open strings like... That's still okay because you are in time with the next chord, and then with the practice you'll make sure that you don't even need to play that open strum. The fourth tip is a general tip which applies to most chord changes, which is make sure that you are ready with the next chord on the top part. So if you're moving again from C to G, for example, make sure that the top part of the G is ready and keep playing the strumming in time, even though the bottom part is not ready, but never do the other way around. So if you go from G to C, don't start the C from the bottom with 1, 2, and 3, for example, because in this way, you risk to play the first strum on the C on open strings because only the first finger is ready, and this is not going to help your sound. While if you practice the top part first, when you start your strumming, the fingers on top are already there and you have a little bit of extra time to prepare the fingers at the bottom. And in this way, the sound of the chord will be, generally speaking, a little bit better, okay? So make sure you have the right references, but focus first on the references on top. So generally speaking, we want to start the chord changes always from the top because that allows you to play then and focus more on the rhythm rather than the chord change itself. Now, the fifth and last tip of this short list is practice the chord changes on the left hand only. So in order to play in time with the right hand, focus on the left hand first. So focus on the fretting hand and practice all of the transitions you need, trying to keep the fingers as close as you can to the fretboard without even using the right hand. You just work on the muscle memory of your fingers. You'll see the muscle memory of the fingers improving. And then when you feel like you are a little bit more confident with that, you try and add the right hand and you just start maybe with one strum, okay? Counting the beats, you know, and then when you're more familiar with that and you feel a little bit stronger with that, you can try and play the rhythm that you need to play for that chord change. So work on the left hand only. You can spend, you know, like 10 minutes on a chord change without even using the right hand. And it's also a good way to practice the chord changes any time of the day. You want to practice in the evening very late, you don't want to disturb anybody, you can still get your guitar and practice your left hand transitions, and you'll see that improvement the day after when you try with the rhythm. Okay guys, so these were just a few tips that I teach my students and I see that they work and they help my students to get better chord changes when they are beginners and in general to get to the chord changes that they want in time much sooner. So let me know in the comments below if this helps you as well. If you have other tips that you want to share with the other people on this channel, that would be really appreciated. If you have any feedback or question, feel free to get in touch with me anytime. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon to be notified when I release my new videos so you don't miss any other video like this one. This was the Bearded Guitarist. See you next week.